All right, we are live. Greetings, fellow traders. Let me get this tweeted out so everybody can join in here. 1 second. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Good, good, good. All right. Well, I hope everybody had a great trading day today. What a day today! Definitely something. So good stuff. So let's get started. So everything we're gonna. So today we're gonna be continuing our conversation on day trading Renko charts. Right. Remember Renko coming from the Japanese Renga, which stands, for brick, right? And so these are brick trading, and the idea, the whole concept of this thing is that it tunes out the noise, like really, really clean charts, really, really nice moves. So you can get big up and down moves, like lots of crazy action in one of these bricks. But as long as it's within this range, right, you keep a brick, right? And so the idea is just to kind of trace the bricks down. So today we're going to talk about those in the context of swing trades, meaning overnight and potentially holding for a few days. So let's take a look at that before we get started. Everything we're going to talk about is for educational purposes only and not investment advice. So please take a moment to review this disclaimer. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Good, good, good. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to check and see where we left off in the market today, and then we're going to take a look at the futures and see what we might have in store for the rest of the evening and into tomorrow. And then we'll take a look at the topic and then questions and chart requests. So let's get started. All right, so let's get the SPX right here. So pretty interesting stuff, right? The monthly chart really transformed a lot, and this can happen pretty quickly on a big day like today. We're only 3 days into the month, and so 3 days of movement can really change the chart a lot, right? But we had a strong candle right here. It looks like it's kind of forming a shooting star. We got a lot of month left. We were starting to get a little bit extended here off of the upper Bollinger Band here on the monthly chart, right? Last time we got extended, right? We got the Corona crash, right? And you really don't see a lot of these. It'll be very interesting to see how this candle closes, right? Because if we do close with a shooting star candle, that often leads to a couple months of a potential downside, right? It's really rare to get a shooting star, and we did get one before the Corona crash. So pretty interesting stuff there. Weekly chart also looks like it's putting in a shooting star too. We got one more trading day left. If we do get some downside follow through tomorrow, we do have this open gap on the weekly that we've been pointing out pretty regularly as a potential magnet. We've got this one down here. Now, we talked about the cloud, right, on the weekly chart, right? So this is showing potential increase of volatility, potential big drop coming, or at least a big move. So we're kind of getting into that area right here this week where we're starting to reach the precipice of this canyon cliff, right? So we just have to be a little bit cautious here, and of course this makes sense as we're heading into election season, where I'm sure there's going to be all sorts of wild fireworks going on, right? So just kind of keep an eye on that one right here. And let's take a look at the daily chart. So the daily chart, right, we've been plowing our way up really nicely here. We hit fresh all-time highs yesterday. A decent strong candle yesterday, but again, like we've been saying, extended over the upper trend line, extended over the ADMA. So seeing a pullback here wasn't unwarranted, right? We were actually just expecting a gap fill today and possibly hold and work its way up, but we got the benefit of a little more downside follow through on that one. And we got down to the upper trend line, but we did push below it today. And so what that does is it forms a trend box right here. So now today's low is going to become a very, very big area of interest going into tomorrow. Let's just kind of go back and review the Corona crash here. So when we broke down before Corona, right, we had this initial breakdown here, and then the next day we confirmed below it, I believe with increased volume. Let's go back to the SPY here and just kind of check what the volume was that day. Okay, so we did confirm below this trend line here, and obviously it wasn't as big as the prior one. Here we go. So yeah, we confirmed below the prior lows right here with increased volume, and then we got the gap down and the follow through, and then the subsequent crash, right? So let's see if that's actually happening here, and see if we can get some confirmation of the downside. I did draw on the SPX. I did draw an extra kind of bump trend line here as well. Just to kind of track us through, because we were starting to get extended here, so I got a really tight level right here. So once we broke that, we hit the next levels down pretty nicely here today. Let's take a look at that intraday price action to kind of show you what we were thinking here intraday. So so one of the big things is that we were looking for the gap fill here, right, in this area, and that's what we got, right? So we shorted here on the 15 orb, on the breakdown right here this morning. We called that out on the live stream, and we were looking for an attack at this level right here. We got it, right? And so we kind of moved down right here. We gave a little bit of bounce off this level, and this was a good area for it to potentially bounce, but it couldn't do it, right? It showed more downside action and more downside follow through. So let's take a look at that on the 5-minute chart here with the levels that we provide to our members before each market open. And you can see here, there's that open gap, right? So that was our target level right here, and it gave us an inside 5 where we broke down there, right? But it failed to push to the upside, right? It didn't confirm, didn't give us any indication that it was ready to go back up. It gave us a nice doji, right? Nice pause candle right here, and then we pushed down again, another inside 5 down, right? And then it kind of reversed here a little bit, and then another inside 5, another inside 5, and so it gave us a couple really really nice opportunities to the downside. For the rest of the day, the way once the impulsive move is over, let's take a look at the ES chart here so we can see what the futures are looking like here this evening. Once things really start impulsive, that's usually in the group. That's usually where I start whipping out the Elliott wave stuff, because it really helps us when you can tell things are moving fast, right? It really helps to have a perspective on on this action right here, right? So right, because we know that when things are impulsing, eventually they're going to pull back, right? And so we look for those for confirmation. The cool part is that our signal zones really played out really really nicely through this whole level, and in fact was another inspiration for us to get short once we lost a lot of these levels, right? And so so you can see right here on the S&P futures, very very similar. It gave us a little bit of a better setup here on the short side with the double inside 5 to work its way down here. So once we started impulsing our move down, right, we started to put our wave counts on here. So we had this is actually here. This should be here. Right, so wave 1, 2, right, 3, 4, 5. So once we thought that wave 5 was in, the reason why we thought it was in because we had a big pullback right here, right? And so this candle was our indication to be like, hey, this move is kind of calming down a little bit. We came up to the levels, and then we're like, okay, we're probably going to do an ABC type formation, and we kind of did, right? So this is maybe this is ABC right here. We stopped putting the count on it right here, but this is kind of where we stood back at the end of the day, because a lot of times, especially in the short side, the volatility really starts to pick up, and the option spread starts getting a little bit crazier. The bids start jumping all over the place, right? So if you miss that big move, it can be tempting to try to force shorts. Because you're like, wow, that was really big. Let's even go down again, right? But we know that, right, we could see a lot of chop of this. So we cautioned everybody into the rest of the afternoon and be like, hey, just beware of the chop, right? And don't force anything, right? Let's look for some real setups. And the levels were really, really tight down here. You can see how these levels played out. And we got a little bit of a move and some quick bounces and down moves. So this is really, this is more challenging to trade than jumping in on an impulsive wave, right? So that kind of kept us out of it. And so let's check a look and see, or in the afternoon, let's just kind of check and see what we've got going into tonight. So one of the things we could do is we could put a channel right here, because you could see that we were channeling down right through these levels pretty nicely here this evening, or into the end of the day. And so we got a nice little move up the channel. Now it did hold 50% of the channel, which is generally okay, right? It's gonna be a rough drawing of the center line right here. But as long as you hold that, right, that can start to be bullish, right? So we might be getting out of this area right here. We broke this channel here just in the last hour or so, and so we're just kind of working our way here. Let's see what they have in store for tomorrow. I wouldn't be surprised if they push it up again, and we actually open green tomorrow, and or at least push green into the open tomorrow. We do have job numbers tomorrow, so we'll see how that plays out. And then we'll see where we go from there. If they decide to really push it down tomorrow, that could be interesting, right? Because we're heading into a 3-day weekend this weekend, and I'm not sure how many, if we're weak, right, if we do get a big push down tomorrow and we're weak, I don't know how many people are going to want to hold over a 3-day weekend, right, with a weak close on the market. It doesn't mean we won't gap up on Monday, but we really need to see where we close, right, in relation to the macro trend line that we were talking about today in the trend box. So it should be pretty interesting here going into tonight. So we've got that going on. Now we can just kind of see, how these levels hold going into the rest of the night. So good stuff. All right, so let's get to the topic. Let's wrap up our conversation this week on day trading Renko with swings. So this week we talked about Renko, and I'm just going to pull up a chart here on Netflix and just kind of show one of the ways to look at this. So with the Renko charts, right, it tunes out the noise, and one of the things we looked at was the ATR, using the ATR for a swing. But the ATR is basically going to take, if we go to the daily chart right here on Netflix, let me get a clean chart here. Okay, so we got a couple trend lines up here, and I'm going to, on this chart, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to put the Renko in here. Remember, you pull up the settings, you go to time axis, instead of time, you go range, right? We're going to start with ATR, and then I'm going to show you something else pretty cool on this one as well. So we're going to Renko bars there, and we take a look at this, right? So kind of the interesting part about this is that when you do the ATR, it takes this default range here of the most recent move of like 76 cents. So that puts you on like a day trading level on this one. So if you want to start swinging using Renko, you need to pick a range that. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. Sorry. You need to pick a. Sorry, I didn't switch that over. My bad. Okay, so like I said, right, we just switched over. We just went over the Netflix and just switched over to the Renko charts. And like I said, if you use that default ATR, right, it's going to put whatever it calculates the default as. So in this case here, it's 76 cents, right? So if you want to use it for swing trades, obviously you want to get bigger ranges to deal with, right? So you can't just go with the default on that. So what you do is you go back into settings, you go to time access, right? We hit aggregation type range type Renko bar. So instead of Renko, right, what we want to do is figure out basically what the ATR is of Netflix, right? And so, I think a $10 move on Netflix is pretty decent, or a $5 move, let's see. So what you do is when you go to the settings here, and you go to time access, instead of clicking ATR, you put 500 ticks, right? And you click OK on that. Right, and that's going to give you a $5 Renko. So now you're changing your range of the bricks, and this can really help. This can really help on a on an intraday basis. So I'm just going to go the last like 90 days on this one, and now you can see. And I'm going to take off the pre-market hour. I'm not going to show extended hours on this one. Okay, so now you can see, right? Because remember, Renko takes out time, right? So this can happen over time. This can all happen in a day. And but this can often help to look for swings. So basically, the concept is using the same techniques that we looked at already, right? So what we want to do is let's go RSI, and let's put the RSI back on here, what we talked about yesterday. And since we have a $5 move, right? What we could do is we could set the RSI to 5, and just kind of have that as our levels of, to look to see where we're overbought and oversold. And also we can use our trend lines on these too, right? So we can find very interesting areas of potential support and resistance, right? So we can use channels, we can do all sorts of cool stuff with the Renko, right? So in this case right here, right, we had a nice upward trend going through these areas right here. And so using these trend lines can be very effective, right? And you can see here over a multi-day period, even though the RSI didn't help us in this situation, we did break down below this upper trend line. We confirmed below it with this Renko, right? And you can see if we entered right there off of that level, that's 545, right? And then that gives us a nice short up here. It tunes out all the noise in between here. And this was, if you put the dates on here, that was 713. And this ended up falling through nicely into 714 into the next day, into the morning, right? So that gave you a nice swing trade overnight, and just by following that trend right there, right? So that was good too. And again, like we said, there's other ways to use this, by using not only the various trend lines, but you can use other techniques as well. Again, here is a nice move right here, through this downward trend line. And you can see we broke out of this level right here, and this was on 826, right? And that just kind of worked its way up nicely here into for a day trade, right? So you can increase the size of the Renkos. You can, instead of using the 500s, right? You can go back here and you can make it $10 if depending on what your swing trade goals are, right? So if you go 1,000 ticks, right, that's going to make it $10 per Renko, and that's going to give a much bigger move. This is a little bit tricky to do with options because of time decay, but the farther out the better if you really like the setup, right? So I'm just going to do a year on these, and then we'll keep the RSI here, but we're going to go ahead and adjust it to 10, right? So we're going to go like this, right? And we can see here that, for instance, like we had a nice little move right here where we got to we had an RSI divergence from here, right, to here, right? So we had a declining RSI with a rising price, and right off of this level here, it gave you a 1, 2, 3 Renko down, and obviously with 10 points per Renko, that's a 10, 20, 30 point move to the downside, right? And here it doesn't go back far enough within the year to kind of see the divergences, but you can look here. For instance, we had so that was basically all on the divergences here with using the RSI on the 10-point one. But really cool stuff. Like we said, a couple other levels right here, right? So we can find levels of interest, right? So this level right here over the charts here was a clear area of resistance, right? And once we broke above that with the Renko and got some follow through, we had a nice 40-point move to the upside on that. So again, you could also use the other techniques too that we're moving up. 1 Renko pullback. We talked about the pullbacks yesterday. 2 Renko pullback for potential entry here at 348 in June 26th. Right, and then able to hold this for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 Renkos for a 120-point move off a 2-candle pullback that we talked about yesterday. So that went from, if you entered at the low right there, 441, right, and it went up to $569. So pretty cool stuff, right, using these Renkos. So hopefully that kind of wraps everything up for you a little bit this week, and it's a really cool tool to use, and it's a neat way to look for swing opportunities and intraday trades. So good stuff. Well, hopefully you guys found that helpful, and at this point, if anybody has any questions or chart requests, please feel free to plug those in the chat window. We'll get through as many as we can and try to wrap up as early as possible, so we can all get a good night's sleep and have another awesome trading day tomorrow. So good stuff here, and we'll wrap up this week and head into an awesome long weekend. So good stuff. All right, so we got the daily chart pulled up here, and we have a few chart requests that came through. So Shirley sent a few via email, so let's take a look at those. And again, guys, thanks for keeping Shirley in your thoughts and prayers as she gets better all the time, which is awesome. So Wayfair. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of stuff that's looking pretty bearish here going into tomorrow. Now, again, with Wayfair, one of the things we want to kind of keep an eye on right here is that we are still holding the upper trend line. We're really not breaking down yet, but we may see a momentum move if it breaks down below that trend line. But right now, it's still holding trend. A lot of stuff just kind of pushed down today to their upward trend line. So definitely keep an eye on that and see how that holds going into tomorrow. The Big C. Okay, so heading up into earnings on this one, we talked about this yesterday, that it looked like a potential bear pennant, right? So we had an invisible pull, we had a triangle pennant line, and then we broke down through that nicely here today. So we were expecting it maybe to consolidate a little bit more, but obviously today was a good day to look for that to the downside, so good find on that one. OSTK, Overstock. We've been tracking this one since it kind of peaked, and of course we had our trend box yesterday, and we got a nice momentum move to those levels on the downside here today. So that gave a nice day trade opportunity on that. We'll see if there gets any fall through. It actually didn't have a lot of volume on that one, but for a day trade it looked pretty good. BBY. BBY actually I think had some a little bit of good news today, but the stock itself doesn't look like it showed it. So again, we really haven't really confirmed below its initial trend box off this last line right here. We're kind of holding a couple of these levels, so just kind of keep an eye on it here. Again, if it breaks down tomorrow, again, it doesn't even have the volume really to show on the downside, like that this is really bearish, but it's definitely something to keep an eye on there. And then let's take a look at Nikola. So Nikola. So this thing's been getting clobbered a lot right here. I had a Morgan Stanley upgrade somewhere in this area that's kind of been drifting its way down. So it's kind of holding this prior inside day range right here. So see how that holds going into tomorrow. So good stuff. Awesome. I really appreciate it, Shirley. ZEK, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in. I hope you're doing well. Let's take a look at JP Morgan. So JP Morgan was one that was definitely on the radar for a bullish move today. It did give us a gap up, and it gave us a nice move at the open. We pointed it out on the live stream this morning. We liked it. We just didn't like the declining volume that was going on the lower time frames. It was really starting to taper off. And 5 day 5 minute, right? There we go. Yep, so it was nice at the open. The volume really just kind of really started to taper here, and it was really not something that we looked at getting into today, but it did give a nice gap up and some nice follow through from yesterday. So right now it's back to the 80 main, still holding its cloud. Snap, let's take a look. So again, yesterday a lot of the social media names were strong. And in fact, Snap showed some relative strength going into tomorrow, so I think that's definitely a good one to keep on the radar. We could actually put it on the bullish radar if we take the inside day up tomorrow. So let's keep an eye on that one. Give me 1 second. If it's Friday, I think next week's options. Okay, for day trading, I think next week's options, so you don't get assigned unless part of your trading plan. So look at Snap here. And also, if you're not comfortable dealing with the volatility, sometimes it's good to trade next week's options too. So good one to look at right there. I like the inside day. Let's see if they can break out to the upside and try to work its way back out of that cloud. AAL, this is a fun one too at the open. We pointed out in the group, got about 18%, 17% gains on this one this morning for a nice move up. We like that Boeing was moving up. We like that the airlines move up in correspondence with it. I like the volume that came in here too to give a nice push. It actually came up to a resistance level that we have intraday and kind of pulled off those levels there. So just kind of chopping around right here. BA again was great at the open, and it gave a sharp reversal after our move at the open and kind of came back into this triangle range right here. So still kind of getting tight and all that, but now this today's high kind of stretches that triangle out a little bit right here. So it's kind of just working between those ranges. Let's see if we can get some a volume breakout to the downside on Boeing if the market's weak and this one's weak tomorrow. So good stuff there. Mike, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in. We knew this day was coming. I know, it was pretty wild. Woo! What a day. Let's take a look at Apple. So, it didn't help that Apple was kind of like, is like the big, magnet of the market and all that stuff. And yesterday it had a pretty rough bearish engulfing day. We weren't fully bearish on it because of the big upper shadow off the ADMA, but it was definitely concerning, right, going into today. And we got a nice move down below those lows, and it actually kind of came right down to its trend line. So pretty cool stuff there. We'll see if it gets any follow through tomorrow. It's down to like $3 after hours, but let's see where we end up in the morning on that one. But definitely gave some nice downside movement today. GLD. And this has kind of been the big thing, right? So yesterday we had a lot of stuff, right? So the market was going up, but the VIX was going up, right? And it's like everything's going up, right? So gold was, kind of gave this this decent rally yesterday, and it's kind of pulled back a little bit. We're kind of down a little bit right here, but again, it's still holding trend. Here's this trend line right here. So let's see how it holds going into tomorrow. It might start perking up. It's actually up 50 cents after hours. So let's see if it, can perk up there and, kind of weigh out the volatility. So we'll see how that goes. AAI, what's going on? Yeah, it's certainly not a boring choppy day. It was in the afternoon, right? It gets a little bit tricky there, but the morning was really fantastic. Yep, Apple, so it could see the 110 handle. Let's take a look. Yeah, like I said, we got to break down below these levels right here. It's definitely got, some congestion in that 110 area, so it is possible if it breaks down farther. We've got an open gap right here. Of course, we've got an open gap right here and a big open gap right here. So it's got definitely some targets to the downside if the market wants to be really weak. We just have to kind of see how that plays out going into tomorrow. Again, it's still holding its trend line, so we just need some clues on it. Tomorrow, even if we close down, it would still be a trend box day. Facebook with a big lower shadow on this one. It's kind of held up there right on the 80 EMA, so let's see if that holds going in tomorrow. It's down, of course, like 6 points after hours, so we'll see how that is into the open, but it looks like we're still in today's range. So we got that going. Yeah, it did fizzle a little bit after hours. We'll see what it can do. It did show some nice intraday strength today. I like the volume that came in on all the up moves today. It really was like trying today. Like all these green candles had like pretty much some of the biggest volume today. So they were trying to hold it up. So let's see if it gets any strength going into tomorrow. If the market's strong, it's definitely one to keep an eye on. Good stuff. Yeah, my pleasure. I hope you're doing well. Thank you. Sherry, what's going on? Thank you for tuning in. Yeah, Docu. Okay, so Docu, right, with earnings this evening. So I think it looks like it's down about 20 points off of that. So let's see how it goes tomorrow. But again, I think a lot of this is after the earnings report is just kind of choppy, but I think it's just down with the rest of the market right now. So it's definitely one to kind of keep an eye on to see if we see if it's a potential reversal, especially if the market is strong and the these sectors are strong tomorrow. Kira, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in. I hope you're doing well. A good entry point to enter Microsoft, Mr. Softy. Let's take a look at here. Wow, down 14 points today. This actually gave a pretty good rally at one point intraday. It was trying to, but it just couldn't do it. It held the 80 EMA down all day, actually. So a potential buy point right here. We did bounce off of this prior geometric line here today. We got the 50-day moving average right here. I mean, we got all sorts of geometric lines here. There's a big one right here at the cloud. That could be a good area. Let's see if it does get, things get really, really weak. See how it holds 210. Below that, see how it holds this like 205 level. And then PayPal. Yeah, PayPal started to look a little bit interesting and just basically kind of flushed. But then it gave an epic reversal today too, which is kind of nice. And then it's kind of lost it here after hours. So let's see how it holds right here. Again, we're seeing a lot of volatility in these ones. We really just need to kind of see where we open and where things where the chips lay tomorrow. Let's see where that goes. And then S&PS, again, a nasty pullback off of that one as well. Lots of levels to hold right here. I mean, if you kind of have this bump line right here, we're basically right at that potential level of support, right? And then we got this right here, your macro trend line below it. So let's see how that holds going into tomorrow. Good stuff. Yeah, my pleasure. NK, what's going on? I hope you're doing well. Yeah, let's take a look at CVX. So CVX, right? So interesting that oil gave a little bit of a pop here this morning, but it's still holding this level. Let's see if it breaks down below there and gets some more downside. So this is a major level for it to hold. So below today's lows tomorrow could be pretty weak for CVX. Twitter. Twitter down 4% today. Again, I had a big candle yesterday. These are the tricky ones here. I'm going on these big moves right here, but I mean, kind of look where it went to yesterday. Right, so we kind of came into kind of a big drop zone right here, so it's a little bit tough to go long, even though the candle's really nice. But a big pullback there. Ended up holding the 80 EMA, so let's see how that holds going into tomorrow. Boeing, like I said, back into the triangle range right there. So let's look for some volume breakout one way or the other on it. Maybe to the downside could be another fun move down. Goldman Sachs. Again, nice gap up and push today, and then kind of rejected by a lot of these levels right here, right? So levels. So ended up coming back under the geometric line on that one, and then Dow, so nice follow through the downside on this one. Nasty candle yesterday, and good follow through on that one. Let's see if it can work its way. It's got a fresh 200-day moving average right here. Let's see if it can work its way down to that 24.38 level. So good stuff. Yeah, my pleasure, Michael. What's going on, dude? SPY, I know, yeah, just crazy stuff today, right? So big moves down, but it was fun, right? So we caught it today, like I said, it was just playing levels intraday, and it's like when you get that extra follow through, it's like, hey, this is great. But it came back down and kind of held the upper trend line, gave us a trend box area right there, so we're going to see how it holds today's lows going into tomorrow. Nitin, what's going on? Good evening. Yeah, not a great day if you're long, for sure. And but we'll see what it has in store for tomorrow, right? So, like we said, they could rally it up into tomorrow morning. We just broke out of that downward channel here this evening, right? So let's see if they try to prop it up overnight here, or if they're looking to try to flush this thing. Apple again, right down to its trend line right there. Let's see if it can recover that. Tesla. Again, Tesla's down another like 20, 30 points here after hours, but we really, really need to see how it holds these levels, right? So it's below, like kind of here. This is kind of a major, was it old area here? Wait, hold on a second. That's an old chart. Let's get this one right here. There. So let's just kind of keep it as it is right here. So we got this inside day here, prior inside day that it's probably going to break below right there, and then you got these levels right here, right? So let's see how it holds. We might see a dip and then a bounce. Otherwise, it's got room to get to its upper trend line on Tesla. Tricky day on Tesla today for sure. It's definitely easier shorting the market than shorting Tesla. Docu again down after earnings, so we'll see how that goes in tomorrow. Adobe. Yep, down about $10 after hours right here. Let's see how it holds. It's got that open gap at like 480. So let's see if it is weak tomorrow. We might see a gap fill right there, and then just kind of see how it holds those levels going into tomorrow. It might try to bounce off of the gap. We'll see how that goes. And then Piton. Yeah, well, Piton had an epic run up today. Again, Hanging Man yesterday. We talked about it last night. A lot of these charts gave these bearish engulfing candles and these hanging man ones, so it kind of gave us a little bit of pause, right, going into the next day, right? A lot of things extended over the 8-day moving average, over their trend lines, things like that, right? And then today just got that push to the downside, right? So again, we're in a high volatility market, guys. I mean, this VIX has been strong this whole ride up, right? And it was pushing like crazy yesterday when the market was going up, meaning it was worried about something, right? And so we got that going on there. So good, Michael. Yes, he swung some spy puts. Good. Well, hopefully that. Oh, you got it yesterday. Great job. Yeah, that was awesome. Should have kept a runner. I know exactly, but we'll see how it goes in tomorrow. Like I said, we could open green tomorrow, so we'll see how that goes. Sure. What's going on? Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, Facebook. So Facebook ended up holding in there pretty well, and it looks like it gave it a lot of it up after hours. But again, they were trying to put some volume in it to the upside. So let's see if the market is strong tomorrow. Let's keep an eye on Facebook to see if it tries to recover, right? So there's not a lot of stuff that's really bearish going into tomorrow. Nothing really confirming lower. So Roku pretty weak right here, but again, it's kind of coming up back into some same levels on this one. And Apple again just holding its upper trend line for now. So let's see where it opens tomorrow. If it's weak tomorrow, Apple could see some more downside. Gregory, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in. I hope you're doing well. Let's take a look at Royal. What's going on? Brutal day. I know. Yeah, it was really tough for bulls today. Yeah, because we focus on the day trading, right? So, we just go with what price is telling us, right? It was really showing us some downside action today. We just got the benefit of, some more follow through the downside. But yeah, if you're holding swings and stuff, a day like today is just, a good day to, take the stops and, wait till the market can prove itself, that type of thing. So that does thing. But I'm glad you're here and thanks for tuning in. OSTK. Again, OSTK, pretty interesting. This is actually, pretty bearish right here, but the volume is not really compelling right here. But if we break below the 50-day moving average, we do have that open gap that could be a potential target on it. QQQ, again, kind of led the way this morning. It was really, really super duper weak. In our morning note that we send to our group, right, we were kind of highlighting the fact that the NASDAQ was pretty weak pre-market, right? So that kind of gave us some more, like, hey, let's see if this thing can work its way back down. Facebook. Again, I'm liking Facebook. I like the volume that went into it today. Let's see if it can reclaim some of the range tomorrow. And Mr. Softy, with a rough day today, down 14 points, down 6%. Right to the prior geometric line, but a lot of volume there today on that down move. So let's see how it goes today into tomorrow. And again, it's down another 4 points after hours, so it's coming into the big congestion zone right here. So just kind of have to evaluate it and see where it is. 210 is the 50-day moving average, right? So it's definitely something to see where it might find a bounce too. If I didn't mention that earlier. Alexander, what's going on? Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for tuning in. Matthew, what's going on? Good evening. Yeah, let's take a look at 5. Okay, so 5, right, recently had some earnings, right, and it had a huge gap up, and then a big reversal off of that one too. So again, it couldn't get over its pre-market levels, it couldn't break down below it, so you ended up having this choppy day within the 15-orb range. So just kind of see how it goes tomorrow. I mean, had a nice gap up. If we can get over these highs, right, we might see a little bit of a push to the upside on it. It's coming into some major resistance areas up here, right? So just a little bit of caution on that, right? So we got a couple of areas here that it still needs to get above to kind of prove itself, right? So we got that going on. So. But other than that, we can see if it can get over the size and give a little bit of push above that. And then GoGo! Yeah, so GoGo has been an interesting one. So a couple big moves right there. Nice inside day on this one. I ended up closing green. Let's see if we can get another push up try to take an inside day up on that one. So yeah, so Alexander was talking about SLV. Everybody's been asking about silver. It's like silver is when we talked about it down here, right around $10. We're like, hey, that's a good deal, right? And now it's way up here. So it's just basically kind of in this big chop zone right here, or the trend box, right? Because it did start to break down below its upper trend line right here, and it just hasn't really retested those levels. So it's kind of in the chop area, but it's holding up, So looking okay. Rich, does allow you an ABC from its top? Let's take a look. So Apple. ABC. Probably not here, right? So that would be the end of the wave right here. So if this is an A, right, we might see a B, and then then a C, and then it might start working its way back up again on that one. So good stuff. Michael, HRB green today. Nice, we found a green one. I like it. Yeah, H&R blocks. So the Tesla, yes, 25 cents green. Ended up with a bit of a doji candle right there. It's still triangulating, right? So we got that going on there. So hang it in there. Let's see if we break out of these levels. See if we get some volume. Got X dividend coming up in a little bit too. Good stuff, Keith. What's going on? I hope you're doing well. Let's take a look at Spot. So Spot, yep, broke down below the channel right here, and volume's a little bit blah. So let's just see if we can kind of push down below there and give another push down. LMND. LMND's like, hey, welcome to the stock market. Blah. So nice little bear flag down. We got some really great follow through on there. Just kind of see how it holds the if it can get here. See how it holds those IPO lows. That's a key area for LMND to hold. FSLY. Let's take a look. Yeah, so FSLY, again, it's been struggling in the trend box right here, kind of hanging onto the cloud. Good volume to the downside here today, kind of getting a little bit below these levels right here. Again, I just want to see some volume below here and then see if it can work its way down. Otherwise, we're still kind of in the chop zone on that one. Sabre. So, let's see. So, yeah, just kind of getting tight right here. Big triangle right here. A bit of a triangle right here. Right, so it's definitely getting tight in this range. So again, look for a breakout one way or the other on that one. Good stuff. And then SWX. Sumit, appreciate it, man. Let's take a look. Yeah, a little bit of a gap up there today. So, okay, so yeah, so gas looking good. See, not everything's bearish there. So let's see how that holds on that one, right? So good volume, a little bit of an upper shadow, and it filled a gap off of that. So a little caution there. Mr. Mosby, what's going on? So if we break through the 33.93.52 on SPX, are we expecting a dip to 780, the 78.6? Play small beyond this. Nice job on that one. You got on time on Beyond. Great job on that one. Yeah, so Beyond had some good relative strength this morning. Had a little bit of news, got an upgrade, so we definitely can get a momentum play off of that one. But you don't just a day trade, right? You don't want to be married to it. And then the SPX, so it all depends, right? It depends where we close and where we open tomorrow. Because right now, the futures are down about 10 points. Just kind of depends where we open. We gap up, then we might see a flush through here on the SPX. And then we got an open gap right here at 34.02. 33.93 is kind of way down here, so we'll see. I mean, it's got a lot of tight ranges on this one, but we just kind of have to check the levels when we if we get there. Good, and then the VXX was good too. Made a nice move on that one, and then of course the SQQQ. Yeah, so there's a couple nice moves on the VIX today. It got really strong if you're tracking it, and then the SQQQ gave a nice push to the upside too. Good stuff, Matt. Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, SDC. Let's take a look. Yep, so SDC Smile Direct, again, had a great candle yesterday and got some good follow through today and ended up finishing green today, so that's good. And it's down a little bit after hours, but it had a decent day there today. And then pins, let's take a look. Pins a little bit follow through, a little bit of downside movement right there. It turns into an evening star reversal, so just what, right? So there's your up move, there's your real body, you close over 50% of the range of this one. So just kind of watch these lows right here and see if it has any more downside follow through on the pins. Good stuff. Truth, what's going on? Nahas, what's going on? APPS, let's take a look. All right, inside day, right? So just kind of hanging in there, right? So just kind of see how it goes. If it breaks down below these levels, right? It might see some more downside, but I could try to take the inside day up and try to break out of that triangle. So just something to keep an eye on the radar right there. Truth, good to see ya. Yeah. So thoughts on Goog? Thoughts on Goog? Yeah, I mean, it was a decent candle yesterday. Got some sharp pullbacks here today. It did hold this double inside day range, right? So that's good. So it kind of held this range a little bit. It's kind of contained within there. So just kind of see how it holds right here. I mean, it's down about 30 points after hours. That's not good. But we'll see how it opens in the morning, right? The futures are strong. These things might try to work their way back up. So good stuff. The 33.93 is the last previous high made earlier this year. Oh, the previous highs? Yeah, so we'll see how it holds right there. It's definitely going to be an area of interest for sure. AGNTX, thoughts on Docu even after we beat? Yeah, so a lot of these names that beat on earnings and kind of pull back, you just kind of need to keep on the radar, right? So this one's down at 220 right now, which brings us right to about here, right? And it's going to have like this kind of open gap above, right? So if we do see some strength in it yesterday, it could fill that gap and try to work its way back up. So we'll track that one and see how it goes, especially if the earnings are a little bit better. And then Mr. Roseby, yeah, you got Okta. Yep, so Okta with a nasty pullback off of that one too, kind of in the likeness of an evening star reversal there. It is holding the clouds, so see if that holds its potential support on that one. ILMN. Yeah, nice breakdown off that one. Bearish engulfing day today, not fully engulfing, but the real bodies are engulfing. Below the 50-day, below the 8-day. Lots of levels right here to contend with, right? So let's kind of see how that holds in, if it gets any more momentum to the downside. Google, of course, too, same thing. We just looked at right there, same thing as the Goog. Nasty down there today, kind of back into that prior range, but down after hours. Crazy levels right here, right? Like you said earlier, right? You can kind of check and see how it holds this level right here. It's at 1608. Right, so you can kind of see that prior high, see if that holds its support, see if we get a bounce off of that. And then AVGO earnings tonight. Let's take a look here. So AVGO, I believe, had good earnings, but it's basically just down with the market right here. So again, all these ones that are down with the market, evening star reversal here too, by the way, that are down with the market, just kind of have to look and just wait and see, if they can kind of eventually work their way back up. And AGNTX, yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate that. Yep, really appreciate you and appreciate you for tuning in. So good stuff, guys. Like we said, it was a pretty wild day today. It was, we just got in short because it was setting up short. We didn't know it was going to be, give as big a move as it did. But sometimes we see that volume coming in. Right? You just use it to your advantage, right? So that type of stuff. So we'll see how we hold tomorrow. We'll see what the futures are up to tonight. And we'll see where they bring us in tomorrow morning. So good stuff. Well, I'll see you guys bright and early tomorrow on the live stream. Thanks, Mr. Mosby. Really appreciate it. I'll see you guys at on the Good Morning Market prep tomorrow. Yeah, how about a nice 50% retrace tomorrow, America? That would be great. So we'll see if they can do that too. But anyway, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the series this week. I really appreciate everybody for tuning in and all your questions and chart requests. If you're new here, definitely click subscribe on YouTube. And, because like I said, we do videos throughout the day and do other sorts of great stuff. This weekend, we'll be working on the newsletter for our group. And if you're not in the group, definitely look at joining, right? The link is in the description at our website. And we do a great newsletter, kind of preps us for the week and gives us, some kind of clues into the market action, gives us some ideas to go out throughout the week. And we'll be back, guys, live on Monday night because we got a 3-day weekend coming up. So just remember that going into tomorrow too, in case the volume starts to taper off. So good stuff, guys. Thank you so much, and thank you again for tuning in. I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of the evening. Be sure to hit the like button, and I hope everybody has a great night. Stay healthy out there, and remember to risk first and stay